Today we're going to talk about multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. In truth, this is a combination of things that you've already done in the past. Two different topics that you've already hopefully mastered from the past. I don't know, let's say this is 3a squared plus 2ab plus 6b squared. As you can see, it's multiplying a quantity by a sum. And as always, that means we need to distribute the quantity that's on the outside over the terms of the expression on the inside. When we're distributing, we're multiplying, so we will follow the rules for multiplication. Always, as we've been doing, thinking first about coefficients and then about the exponents of each variable. So, we begin by multiplying the 2 by the 3 to get 6. Then I think about each variable separately, always in alphabetical order. So a squared times a squared. When I'm multiplying, I add the exponents, so that gives me a to the 4th. And then there's just this lone b out here, not multiplied by anything else, so that's a to the 4th b. I'm now going to distribute over the second term. Multiplying the coefficients gives me 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Going through each of the variables, a to the 3rd. Some of you are still forgetting to think of the fact that when there is no exponent, it's 1. And b to the 2nd. Because I multiply the coefficients, 2 times 2, and add the exponents of each variable. A to the 2 plus 1 is a to the 3rd. B to the 1 plus 1 is b to the 2nd. Finally, I'm going to distribute over the last term. Multiplying the coefficients gives me 12. Looking at the variables in alphabetical order gives me a to the 2nd, and then b to the 3rd, because there's one b on the term here on the outside and two b's, b to the 2nd right there. Notice at this point I have no like terms. Remember our fancy like terms test. If you take away the coefficients, everything has to be exactly the same. Everything, from the variables to the exponents. That's simply not the case. So these are not like terms, and that's my final answer. Honestly, it's that simple. I do want to show you something that is a way that the book sometimes arranges problems that I don't want you to be confused by. Here is a problem that says, I don't know, well, let's look at the same problem. 2a squared b, well, actually, let's not, plus 3ab squared, and it might say times 4a, written down here. So it's written vertically, but just like I know that 5 times 9, I can write that horizontally, or I can write that vertically. It means the same thing. So my suggestion to you is to rewrite this problem in the form that you're familiar with, putting the monomial on the outside of the parentheses and the polynomial on the inside. So that would be times 3ab squared. I'm going to distribute first 4a over 2a squared b. Multiplying the coefficients gives me 8. Adding the exponents of the variables in alphabetical order gives me a to the 3rd b. Now I'll do the same thing over here. When I distribute the 4a over 3ab squared, I get 12a squared b squared. One way that this gets is in equations. If it says solve, as the book's example, n times 2 minus 5n plus 5 times n squared minus 2 equals 0, we're going to go about this in the same way that we just got rid of the parentheses, and then follow all the rules that we've always followed when we solve equations. So distributing the n over this quantity gives me 2n minus 5n squared, because I'm adding the exponents, and there's one of each of those, plus 5n squared minus 10, and that whole thing equals 0. I do want to point out right now that this is the first time that we've experienced equations that have an exponent of 2. They have a special name. We'll be learning many methods of solving them, but they are called quadratic equations. And this one is what I like to call a convenient quadratic equation, because when I combine my like terms, the quadratic term, or the one with the exponent of 2, cancels out, giving me 2n minus 10 is 0. So now I have a simple equation similar to ones that we've done many times. And I find out that n equals 5. So I think that's really all of the help you need for solving and doing your homework for tonight. So good luck, and come with questions tomorrow.